Servants and slaves, citizens and friends. We're called to love one another. And our readings today put some of these terms side by side. Are we called to be servants? Are we called to be slaves? Are we called to be citizens? Or are we called to be friends? Sometimes we experience love and we think love is very much a thing of service. Sometimes in some family contexts, love can quickly become, or service can quickly become, where another person's almost treated like a slave at times. Today we celebrate Mother's Day. We're here in the Easter season. And Jesus is reminding us of love and asks us to think about what love really is about. Mother's Day is not an opportunity for us as children to feel how good we are and by thanking our mums, although that's an important part of Mother's Day. I think Mother's Day, first and foremost, is us recognising that we are loved. That we have experienced love first and foremost from our mothers. We've experienced life from our mothers. And Jesus has this tension that we heard about in our readings today as well. Those who've experienced the love of God will never want to go in a different direction because that love of God is more powerful than anything else. Those who've experienced the love of God and have responded will want to live out in a friendship with God. And that's the same with us on Mother's Day. It's not that we're called to serve our mothers on Mother's Day, although that's a lovely thing to do. But first and foremost, it's about recognising that we are loved. That we have been loved first. We have learnt dignity. We have learnt love. We've learnt life. We've learnt about God. We've experienced these things from our mums. And we thank our mums because we are able to live life with that love of God because we've experienced that love of God through our mums. So thank you to our mums throughout our church today. Pray for your mums if your mums have died, or your grandmothers if they've already gone. They helped each of us to love. They loved us. Mums love us when we're at our best, but mums love us when we're at our worst. When we're crying as children, waking up mums right throughout the night, mums are there to assist, to come to our aid. As kids, when we get a little bit ratty, mums are there to forgive. They're not there to sort of throw us aside and to say, well, I'm just giving up on you as a 3 or a 4-year-old or an 8-year-old. Mums continue to love us as teenagers, where sometimes we turn our backs on our mums. We turn our backs upon our family and say we think we can go our own way. Mums are even there to still love us when we as adults sometimes think, well, we know it all. And we can all perhaps have that feeling at times. And I know some mums have felt that in recent times that they've been controlled a little bit by their children or by their grandchildren. You can't go out of the house, you can't do this. But mums continue to love. And so what Mother's Day, I think, is about recognising that we are loved. Yes, we love our mums, and we've learnt so much and we've experienced so much from them. But we're recognising the fact that we have been loved, and we are so thankful and grateful for this. Our first reading today, St. Peter is engaging or is interacting with a Roman soldier. And this Roman soldier has come to the point of wanting to come to faith as a Christian. And we're told at the beginning of this reading that this Roman soldier comes down, Cornelius is his name, he's there kneeling before Peter. And Peter says, get up. I'm just a man. He wants to give dignity to this Roman soldier. When you think about it, a Roman soldier was representing the Roman Empire in an occupied area where the Jewish people were occupied. Here we have not even a Jewish guy, he was Peter was of a Jewish background, but Peter's left the Jewish people, has formed this other little sect, these Christians. And here we have a Roman soldier is coming, kneeling at the feet of Peter, begging to become a Christian. What an enthusiasm he had to become a Christian. And that must have taken away some of his dignity. And what does Peter do? Peter lifts him up. He says, get up. He wants to restore his dignity. And he does that. So he lifts him up literally. But he does that also spiritually. And we're called to do this to others. We're not called to drag people down. We're called to raise them up in dignity. Raise them up spiritually. But even if we're able to, raise them up physically. So Peter raises Cornelius up. And Cornelius does something interesting. Cornelius, we're told, according to some of the scholars, we don't hear it in this passage, we hear it in some of the other passages in the New Testament. Cornelius was, as was typical of the Roman Empire, he was a man who had quite a household. He would have had slaves in his household. And this whole household becomes Christian. And by doing this, it creates a friendship within the house. We're told that servants and slaves don't know the work of the master, don't know the mind of the master. Jesus says, I don't call you servants, I don't call you slaves, I call you friends. And so his whole household comes to faith. And so those who were slaves in his house are now free, which is an incredible thing that Cornelius does. In our own homes, sometimes mums can be made into servants, and sometimes mums feel like they're servants. They're constantly serving us in lots of different ways, from the very young to the very old. When their children are quite mature, mums are still serving. And that's part of what we're called to do. But first and foremost, Jesus says, I don't want you to be servants, I don't want you to be slaves, I want you to be friends. Because friends share dignity, and there's a certain equality as well. So first and foremost, Mother's Day, I think, is an opportunity for us to recognise that we are loved. We know how to love because we have been loved first. Before we even knew what love was, we have been loved. And we should be thankful for our mums because we have families, because we know how to love, because we were first loved. But try your very best not to just be a servant or to make your mums at times into slaves. And if there are mums around the church who've ever felt like they've become slaves to their children, I'm very sorry for that. I know that sometimes has happened. We're called to be friends. And friends are meant to share our hopes, our dreams. So feel like today, if you're gathering with your mum, maybe have a conversation like you're having with a friend, your best friend, about your hopes and your dreams, your desires. Jesus says, I don't call you servants or slaves, I call you friends. Let's be thankful for our mums today. Let's be thankful that we have been loved. We know how to love because we have been loved first. And let us share that love, that friendship that we can have with God, share that with our mums, both in this world, but also in praying for our mums